All right, you ready for some pipeline?
I'm ready to listen.
Okay. Well, and so that's one of the things I wanted to talk about when we were on here is how to create that pipeline a little bit and what you're going to be doing to set yourself up for next month. So it's good that you and I are here now.
Yeah.
So what are you doing what are you doing currently to set up those meetings?
Oh, well, right now I've just been learning a lot of his systems and such. Getting into the weeds is going to start next month. So this whole quarter, which for me has only been 2.5 weeks, is all about learning his processes. Kevin's really big into, I think you know that,
Yeah.
writing everything down and into processes and following procedures and this and that. So I've had tons of things I've been learning from him, mostly doing that during the days. But starting next week, we're going to move into the next stage, which is, I talked to his SDR person, but she hasn't sent me anything yet. So I have to, develop a better relationship with her and see what she's doing, because I don't know what she's doing, but I haven't gotten anything. So I don't know, what she's doing.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure, and Kevin is like, well, we have to get the procedures down, which is another thing I still have to. Kevin's really big into procedures. I've been learning all of his processes and procedures.
Yeah. I understand that, but I do know, have you guys set a goal or a target?
Well, either this afternoon or tomorrow, we're going to be doing that for starting next month. Yeah. So I told him we have to sit down, start going over these things.
Yeah. So why don't we work on that piece, if that works for you, and you can go to him with what you think a good target would be for next month. What do you think?
Yeah, we can. I want to get from him an idea of his average sales, because I haven't learned too much. We've put one in, is that one client that he put the proposal in. That was a decent, I was surprised. It was an $11,000 a month deal. So I was like, that's nice. Actually 9, there was like setup fees. So I was like, geez, if that's the average size, that's not too small. I'll take those every day.
Okay. For how much was that?
So with the one-time setup, it was 11,500, but after that, the recurring was like 9,500. I'm like, so that's basically a 10 grand deal. I said, if that's your recurring monthly,
That's not bad.
I said, a couple of those, I'd be real happy.
Exactly. Now, is that his average deal? I thought his average deal was a little bit lower than that.
Yeah, well, so did I. So when we talk, that's what we're going to talk about, because he also sells hardware refreshes and warranties and a lot of things that don't make that much money, but
they're sticky.
Yeah,
and we
they're
keep
things
on
to
coming
stay.
back for you.
Exactly. So clients, if they got an equipment refresh period, we reach out to them and say, hey, your equipment's end of life. You've had your machines for over 6 years. Time to update those.
Okay. Is it 6 years or is it less than that? Normally it's like anywhere from 3 to 5.
Yeah, they say 3 to 5. So he's got some folks on 6 already. So I've talked to him about that. So next week, that's going to be my first priority. So as you were talking about, Alex, setting up things, that's one of my first priorities, is reaching out to a couple of his folks that have end of life machines, trying to get that rabbit, which is, let's get some of those machines refreshed. It's a lot less, but it adds up. He's got like 7 of them. So 7 refresh machines, that could be up to 7 grand.
That's great. Yeah. And then it's, just wait for the next ones to tick, right? And then understand exactly when those expiration dates are happening and where they need to expand. For sure, that makes total sense. So based on the average deal size being under, say we shoot for 50% of that, right? So now you're looking at like a $30,000 deal. Is that right? Did I just math right?
Well, so I'm figuring the average deals for him I'm thinking around 3 grand if we, bring on board new folks. I'm thinking that could be lowballing, but I'm figuring a new customer client, 3 grand. He's working on a new proposal right now of someone they also just spoke to, which they're going to bring me in on next week. And I'll see, again, this is a new one that they just did an entire evaluation for, and then they're going to, make a proposal, which I'm then going to be a part of this. So they're creating the proposal right now. Then they're going to sit down with me. They're going to talk to me about all the elements. Then I will help propose it. So I will be, like I said, next week, I'll be a lot more informed as far as their numbers and how they're doing things. This proposal, I'm really excited about because I'll finally get a handle on, like you said, what is his average size deal? This is a new client. They went in, they talked to her, they did an evaluation. Their tech guy is now coming up with all the things they need.
Yeah.
Next week, I'm going to sit down with the tech guy and say, okay, what'd you come up with? How much is it? And from there, I'll be able to figure out, okay, well, then that's our average deal size. I'm going to figure whatever that is.
Okay. So from there, let's just make an assumption, because I'd like to have us start from at least an educated guess. And that way, when you're setting your target, you can go to him saying, okay, I think it's around here. Keep me sane, keep me honest, make sure that I'm saying the right thing.
Mhm.
And then we can sort of backwards engineer or reverse engineer what you should be doing from an activity standpoint, because relying on your SDR to hunt is never a good
I
strategy.
know, which is another thing I'm finding out. So I'm going to obviously, since nothing's come in, since I've been here 2.5 weeks now, and I haven't gotten anything from her. So I don't even know what she's doing. I don't mean to.
Yeah. So I think what we need to do is let's go ahead and start from an assumption of $3,000 a month, right? So let's say $3,000 a month, $3,000 a month on a deal.
Yeah.
Right. And if you have 5 deals hit, right? So that would be not necessarily 15 MRR, because some of that is going to be product, some of that is going to be hardware, some of that is going to be a project, some of it's going to be XYZ, right? But
Setup fees, because he always includes a setup fee. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, so we're not even talking about the setup fee. The setup fee is, that's separate. But the monthly recurring, let's just make an assumption that the monthly recurring coming in is going to be $3,000.
I think so.
If that's the case, then how many of those do you need to hit in order to make the commission that you want to be making? I'm not even talking about his goals. I'm talking about your personal goals. And the reason I'm saying that is, if you can make your own personal goal and you can say, this is what I need to be solvent.
Yeah.
Then that helps you have a really honest conversation with him.
Yeah. And I'd like it to be high. And I know that he might not expect the numbers that I want to throw out at him, but I mean, I want to get a lot of conversations going. So my thought process is, with this SDR and then my own reach outs, we should be having meetings every single day. And if we have, I'll just say, an average of 5 meetings, one of those deals should close every single week, which is at least 4 deals.
That's after you have a pipeline going. So you're putting the cart before the horse a little bit, right? So you're right, absolutely right. But let's meet you where you are now, as opposed to saying this is where you should be in 6 months, right? I don't care where you should be in 6 months. I'm trying to set you up for success, because I'm assuming there's a ramp up period. There's a little bit of a draw happening. Whatever you guys decided, that's what you guys decided. But when you're talking about setting your own forecast, you need to say, okay, I'm coming in and I know that I need to hit this minimum. Right. And normally I wouldn't set a minimum, but the way I would say this to a CEO is, what do you need to keep the lights on? Right. So same for you as a sales rep. What do you need to keep the lights on? And you need to come up with that number and then just increase it by 10%. If he's happy with that number, that's your number for the next 3 months, because right now you don't have any pipeline. He doesn't have any pipeline. There's nothing to build on right now. So you guys have to be really conservative so that you can build it the right way and not hold yourself to such high standards that you can never deliver them.
Right.
Okay. And I'm not, doom and glooming. I'm giving you a very realistic picture of you're getting into Q4. which is great. You've got all this opportunity where you can talk to people, but at the same time, it's also Q4. People are going on vacations. If you haven't gotten the work done ahead of time, if you don't already have the pipeline and you aren't already in the conversations, you're going to be working really hard.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Is what I'm saying making sense?
Yeah, and I did, just a baseline for you. I did take a much lower base. So to take a commission with Kevin, because Kevin, smaller company. So I went with the low. I said, okay, Kevin, I'll go with this deal, lower base. And then, the object is to get lots of sales to make up for that shortfall.
Right. Which that's what you want as a salesperson, right? If anybody's going to be hiring a salesperson, you want a Brian, right? You want somebody that's going to say, I will take a lower base for the upside, right? Because the upside is where it is. Right. That's great. That's what you want in a salesperson. However, you as a salesperson also have to be set up for success. And so you need the tools, you need the resources, and you need to understand the targets to be effective. And because he has not set that target for you, it's your job to come to him and not only be able to set, hey, this is the target I need for the next 3 months, but also we have to put the work in so that the target gets higher. And then you and I can talk about an actual target for the whole year, because nobody should be working off of a monthly target. You should have a target for the whole year, and then you reverse engineer it down. But because that hasn't been set yet and you are just starting, it's up to you to be that consultant and go to him and say, here's what I think is fair. Here's what I think is attainable. And here's where my break even is. Is this yours? Okay. And see if he says, oh, you know what, I was hoping for more. Then you're going to have a hard conversation with him and say, okay, well, then I need some extra leads, because if I'm doing all the work here and, marketing's getting us some nurturing, but they're not turning into meetings yet because it's literally just going to the SDR and she's calling and she's not making any connections. Yeah. Then it's a conversation of, okay, do we have the right SDR? Yeah. Or it's a question of, could I do better? Give me the leads. Or it's a question of, do we need to automate more? And so once you have all the data, you can then start figuring out what's not working, right? Okay. So for example, when we did just a very basic automation, we have 64 people that say, we're interested, we're going to click, right? So we have 64 people saying we're interested, we're going to click. Now, not all of them hit go to a meeting, which means they either went to the website and the website wasn't powerful enough, or they went and researched a little bit of information and they were like, no, not interested. Something happened there between giving you the leads and the leads getting almost to the point where they want to book a meeting, but then something falling off. And for 64 of them to do that, to me, that says something's broken. Right. But you go a step further and you have the SDR calling. Now, if the SDR can't make a connection with them, what else is broken, right? Is it that she can't get a hold of them because the first part was broken, or is it because she can't get a hold of them because the message is wrong and the script is wrong? Right. So at that point, if I were you as the sales rep, I want those contacts and I want to do my own research and say, okay, let's see if I have better luck. Because if you have better luck, then we know that where the issue is. Where one of the issues is, not all of the issues, but we know where one of the issues is. That being said, you also need to understand that you are an outbound rep and you have to get those sales. So you're going to have to go to the networking events. You're going to have to, go, and there's tons by you. I just did a Google search the other day. I've already got 3 set up in October and putting more on my calendar. So yeah, those things are starting to, that's one of the things I have been able to do while learning his processes, is getting these network events set up. And so get a lot of those. And hopefully the government doesn't shut down, because that would really be a bummer. Yes. Yeah. That like a hawk, I have to tell you. That would be, I think what you're looking for is just the setting the base expectation, because I think with a target to go after, it is much easier to make big moves when you know where you're going. Great. Yep, absolutely. So do you have enough information based on what we just spoke about to come up with that target? Well, from what you've said, I've got a lot to
to process, but what I want to definitely do is, I mean, I liked your 3K, 3K per deal monthly, at least as a baseline until Kevin tells me otherwise.
Right.
What
And it's an assumption, right? Let him correct you. That's fine. Correct me all day, but it gives you something to start with.
Yeah. And then, like I said, the first step is getting the meetings. I got to start now getting in the meetings. I'm ready at this point now to move to that stage, which is I'm ready to talk to people. I got your processes, I got your product, I got your solution. I'm ready to talk.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I'm ready for that stage now.
Perfect. Okay. So, all right. So I'm going to shift gears to somebody's forecast on the meeting.
Yes.
But
thank you everybody for being patient with us.
But I do want you to set that goal, because I think it's really needed, because now you're 3 weeks in, it's time to have a goal. Okay.
Yep. It's ready.
Okay. Awesome. Steven, you're here.
I'm here.
You're here. Do you want to go over your forecast pipeline?
Yeah, we can try. So
We can try.
Because it's a bit of a mess still, just because we're still kind of picking up where we left off.
That's okay.
But we did have we did have 3 sales in 2 sales last week and this 1 sale this week, so that was good. We got our rabbits in.
Nice.
It's funny, the whole week I'm thinking that just
the rabbits, the deer, and the bear. Oh man, now I'm turning everybody into hunters. This is bad.
The hunter, and I usually hunt, but that's okay. So I'm just really kind of placing them to different groups. So some of the things I'll question you about is, so we have a lot of, I'm finding out that we have a lot of cold leads now. So we have, so I'm kind of going down the list, and how would I guess just qualify and not qualify those? Where would I put them in your deal stage?
Okay, so if they've gone cold,
we probably dropped the ball. I'm thinking we dropped the ball. I mean, it's hard to say because they don't respond to emails, they're not responding to us. So I'm assuming that they had something already, or I don't know. They kind of just went quiet.
Okay. So when they went quiet, how old are these?
Geez, one of them is a year old, which is kind of crazy.
Oh, wow.
They're between like 4 to 6 months.
Okay. So if you're looking at something that is over 4 months old and you haven't had any communication with them, there's 3 issues right away. One, there's a lot to unpack there. So let's start here.
Okay.
In no way should you ever be in a position where you are feeling like your team dropped the ball and stopped communicating with people. So that's a follow-up cadence that is a problem if it's not being scheduled. Every single time you speak to somebody, I don't care if it's an existing customer, it's a prospect, it's somebody in the pipeline, it's somebody that says they're about to close, but they haven't yet. It's somebody that just said, I'll review your email. A follow-up task must be set. Now, whether that is in a CRM that you have coded, or if it is in HubSpot, or if it's in Go High Level, I don't care, but there has to be a task associated. And even if somebody on this call is just anti-CRM, which you and I are going to have a fight at some point, but if you don't want to do it, at least a calendar reminder. Something has to be a constant.
No matter if it's a current customer or if it's somebody who's anybody, just
anybody.
I could go through our, because we use Dialpad or whatever. We can just they have very good analytics, so I can just pull up like the analytics and say for everybody that called, set up a follow-up appointment kind of thing.
Yes, but it should be automatic. It should be instant. So for example, I can't bring up my HubSpot in front of you guys right now because it has proprietary information and people's personal data. So I can't do that because it's not compliant, but I will I may have a sandbox account that I can jump in and actually show you how I do it. Because what we do is, would that be helpful for you before I offer?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what you do is when you get on a call with somebody, and it doesn't have to be you, but it really should be a practice of everyone in the company and everyone in the organization. When somebody calls in, some sort of account management or new sales acquisition follow-up is scheduled. And it's literally like perfect example. when I was on the phone with you, Steve, when we were first talking, and we said, okay, we're going to do a, a proposal, and I want you in TechSellerate because I think you'll gain a lot from it, right? I'm taking the notes inside of the CRM as you and I are talking, and then I'm hitting end meeting. And when I hit end meeting, it has a little check box that says set a follow-up for 3 days. And I hit it. And sure enough, Stacy followed up with you in 3 days and said, hey, are you ready? Right? Because that's how we don't lose track, because we have so many conversations. We have so many different things going on. People are pulling us in different directions. I was on CyberSells calls today. I was on Sandwire calls today. I was on Solera. I was on PIA. Like, I was on so many calls today. And we're getting ready to go to DataCon. So it's like, there's no way I'd be able to keep track of anything. So these tasks keep me accountable, not only to my staff and my team, but also to people that want my help. So if people that want my help aren't hearing from me, that's a problem. And I'm off my soapbox, but does that make sense? And do you understand how to do it?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. So the follow-up on the account management side is super easy. Somebody calls in for a routine, my password got reset, or, I need help with something, or, I can't turn on my computer, and you have to walk them through plugging it into the wall, right? Like stupid stuff that isn't so stupid because a lot of people just don't have common sense, that type of stuff, that can wait for your monthly, hey, just checking in, making sure you're okay. We had a conversation earlier this month. I know you were struggling. Hope everything's good. That can be an email, but it's still a follow-up. It's touch, right? The more in-depth ones that are some of the deers, maybe, those are the ones where you're going to need a little bit of finessing, and they call in, they need some help. That's when you're going to follow up and say, hey, how was your experience? Saw that my techs were helping you a couple of days ago, and they seem to have gotten all of everything taken care of. Can you tell me about your experience? That's a little bit more of that follow-up from an account manager. You can automate that into an email, but as long as there's some sort of a touch, that's perfectly acceptable for a follow-up. So it's not just for dead leads. When we're talking about new leads and new people and prospects, there's always a stage and a step. So if it is somebody that said, hey, I'm not quite ready, I need a little bit more time, I need to think about it, the next conversation, or the end of that conversation is, great, I'm based on what you said, you're not ready now, but you need a little bit of time. You would like me to follow up with you, so I will go ahead and reach out next Tuesday, or I'll reach out in 2 months. And then before you reach out personally, you have already sent them a calendar invite and an email in reference to that, so that they're expecting you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now we're at the point where you've got, you're already down that road. The follow-up didn't happen. You literally just have to re-engage. So it's going to be an email and a call, and you're going to be saying, hey, it looks like you were looking at us last year as a potential solution. What has changed in your world? I'd love to catch up. What's going on? Right? It's going to be that sort of a conversation. It has to be much more light, and I wouldn't even consider it a deal at this point. To me, this is close lost that you are trying to resuscitate.
You said it so nicely. It was beautiful.
But it's true. It's how have you been? You were looking at us last.
Yeah. How's it been? Yeah.
How's it been going?
How things changed, and that's amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna use that.
If anything has changed, let me know, or I'd love to catch up. The thing that people forget is that, like, they're not just dollar signs; they're actual real life people. and
you sometimes forget.
It is. It's sometimes
with the sales
you do
gun, being pointed at you, it's hard to be friends with everybody.
And I'm not saying you have to be friends with everyone. There's always a little bit of separation of church and state, right? Like I can be friendly, but I'm not friends. After they become clients and they're with me for a while, yeah, you become friends with them because you're in the trenches with them, and you have to get along with the people you work with, right? Like it's just, it makes for a much better experience. And I think, to their credit, they have shown a lot of patience when things don't work, and they allow me to pivot because we are friends at this point, and we can grow together, and we can get things shifted and work through things. However, at the end of the day, you just have to be a human and understand that the people are humans too, and they didn't get followed up with. So it's not their fault that they didn't close, right? They either went with somebody else or they didn't do anything, which that's a problem too. But if they didn't do anything, it's probably easier for you in a lot of ways, because you're like, hey, I think it's time, let's revisit this. But if they went with somebody else who was Johnny on the spot, now you have a little bit of an uphill battle.
Okay.
So how many of these do you have?
No, there's a lot, but
how many is a lot? Like 10?
Like 100 of them, but
okay, all right. So
but I'm just gonna, because I was just kind of going through all these last communications, and a lot of them, it's just, it's kind of like, okay, we're just waiting for them. A lot of these are bigger accounts, so a lot of times they take time. So either they didn't follow up or whatever the thing it may be, so there's quite a few. But
okay.
What I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to clean up. It's kind of a mess. So I'm literally just trying to figure out where the low hanging fruit is, and kind of just like work work some magic in there, and then slowly add more and more, and then kind of figure out where to put them. Like, how do I market to these like colds or leads? So you kind of, you kind of gave me some help there. And then like, how do I warm them up? Kind of, do I put them on which campaign do I put them on for their specific industry?
That's what I was just about to touch on that. So what is your campaign management software that you're using right now? I can't remember.
Campaign management software?
Like your email.
Well, we just do it ourselves. It's nothing crazy.
Okay. So again, this is one of those, this is when I'm going to beat a dead horse and say, I really need you on a CRM at some point, because this is going to help you a lot, especially because you've already been in communication with these people. So your domain doesn't need to get warmed up. You're like, this is a warm-ish lead, or at least it's a reignition. I would put together a completely separate campaign if you have time. If not, one of the people on your team can do this, but put together a campaign with about 4 emails and a link to schedule a meeting, or get a coffee, or have a coffee sent to them, give them an incentive, because again, this was on you guys. Like you did the screw up. So when you did the screw up, they got forgotten about, and it's not nice to be forgotten about. So what we want to do is we want to make them feel special. Hey, it's been a while. Let me buy you a cup of coffee. Even if it's virtual, right? Send them a Starbucks gift card if they take the meeting. And
during COVID, that was popular, actually. So
what?
During COVID, that was popular. A lot of people had meetings, but they all send out like, they couldn't ship alcohol, but I think actually no, they did. A couple of them did ship alcohol, and they're like, everybody.
I did. I hosted an entire SKO, and we had it was all virtual, and I had a bartender do a virtual bartending session. They learned how to make a signature cocktail, and everybody had their cocktail sent to them.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun, but it's but people care. Like they can tell when you care. And it doesn't have to be automation. It doesn't have to be extra work. If it's worth a $4.65 investment to, talk to them again and get them back on the phone, to me, it might be worth a cup of coffee.
Sure.
So, but I would do a full on campaign, and remind them why you're there, and, and you could even own it, depending on if all of them share the same story of somebody just didn't follow up. You could literally say, hey, it's been about a year. I haven't heard from you in a while. I think we may have screwed up, and we didn't follow up with you when we promised that we would. We'd like to take you out for a cup of coffee.
Okay.
So that would be a good situation there. So that's 100 off of your list. Take them off of your forecast. Those are no longer opportunities. If you get a phone call and you reignite interest, and they give you budget authority need timeline, then it can go back on your forecast.
Okay.
Okay. But what else do you have for
You said
pipeline
budget,
running?
you said budget, I'm sorry, repeat that again, budget.
So it's BANT.
Yeah.
We do budget authority need timeline. And this is like basic sales 101, where we follow like some Sandler sales sales tactics.
Okay.
There are, I tend to go way further than just getting BANT, but when you're just starting to kind of get into the flow of how sequences work and the type of sales processes, it's a really good foundation. So just know that if you do not have an opportunity, you have a conversation and you have a prospect, but unless you have budget authority need and timeline, you do not have a deal. And there's people out there that would argue with me on this, but I still think I'm right. So
So let me repeat that back to you. So you said it really fast. Budget authority need timeline.
yes, BANT.
BANT.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, and we can break that down. In fact, I'm actually in the process of videoing a whole BANT workshop to kind of give you guys those foundations. But budget is, do you know what they want to spend? Do you know what they have to spend? Authority is, are they the right person? Are they the person that's going to be signing off on the contract? If not, who is? What's the sales process? What's the purchasing process? Who has to sign off on that? Like, that's a lot of questions right there, right? The need is, if they don't get your service, or if that, and this goes back to, I think we had this conversation like four pipelines ago now, where we were saying, okay, if they don't go with you, then what happens? Right? That's the need, right? So for Brian, he's giving people the certifications, or the ability to be CMMC certified, right? He's giving them something that these government contractors have to have by a certain date, or else they will get fined. They could be in major problems, major trouble. So that, for him, that's an easy tell. He's like, well, I know exactly what's going to happen if you don't get this taken care of, X, Y, and Z, right? For you, Steve.
By the way, they need that for the private sector.
Yes, they do, but they different compliances, right? So
Yeah. But I think security is, once the cat's out of the bag, you know.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, yeah. And so it's funny. I'll tell stories about previous bosses that I've had and previous people that I've worked for and worked with in the past. And I spoke about a gentleman that I used to work for, Mike Tierney, who was literally the best storyteller ever. Like, I mean, he ran sales teams because he could tell stories. That was his superpower, right? Mm-hmm. And the one superpower that Fred Vicola has that I really, really look up to from Kaseya, I don't always agree with all of his tactics, but his superpower has always been understanding the trends of what the market's going to be. So when he says, okay, government's looking at this, it's going to trickle to where big business is, and that's going to trickle to SMBs. You've got, once government enacts something, you've got 5 years. And he's pretty good. Like, he's been pretty constant. When it hits government, it's about a 5-year wait, and all of a sudden it's SMB.
Okay.
So
Hope so.
yeah, it will. And you're already dealing with it, right? You've got PCI, you've got HIPAA, you've got FINRA, you've got, I mean,
a little laggy. Yeah, I guess 5 years is probably acceptable. Is it acceptable timeline?
Yeah. So, all right. So what else do we have on pipeline from a forecast into Q4?
Okay, we're transit. Okay. Well, so there's this one that actually we're going back and forth today. So it was a hot lead. The Gown quote, they're like, okay, everything looks good. And then they said our sales, one of our went out there, technical sales guy went out there, he said, oh yeah, we could do terms. And that's not, he would never say that. And I know, and we don't do that. We're not a bank.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So I told him, I was like, well, I talked to our accountant, bookkeeper, whatever, and she said, okay, well, this is what we can do. So we proposed, 75 cents up front and then 30% by the end of the year, just to close the books. And then And she was like, she kind of threw, I'm Persian, and I'm like, okay, that's nice. I know people. I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't know how to respond to that. I just said, I'm sorry. I hope you find somebody that will, that will work with you. I don't know what to say. So
what exactly was she wanting to pay terms on? Was it hardware, software, or services in general?
It was a project, plus it was it's a smaller office. I think it was like 10 systems or something like that. It was like under 15 grand. So it was kind of a smaller one, but I was like, okay, we thought, we did good on our budget because she was budget conscious. And so, I thought we did a very good job. But, she wanted to do terms. It's like, no, that's not how we do things. So we're not a bank. If we can do a credit card, we can accept credit card, but we can't afford, our cash flow doesn't let us do that. So.
Got it. So I'm not giving you a best practice. I'm asking for all of your opinions because all of you are in different stages of MSP world, right? And of IT world. So there are financing arms where they will pay you upfront for the work and they will take on the onus of doing the financing. Now I do not know how big this project was. If it was, if it was under 30, was it under 30 grand?
Yeah, and usually those companies are like they want 30 plus, usually.
Yeah, they want 30 plus most of the time.
Yeah, it's hard to get somebody just for, if it was 25, I could probably do it. But yeah, 15 it's kind of on the low side. It's
it is.
Office, it's like a day of practically. So it's like I don't get it,
There are payment terms, right? Where you could, for me, I like payment terms because it almost makes it as if it is a retainer, but it's a retainer with an end date so that you can move on to the next project and move on and continually work with them. However, if you're coming out of pocket on labor and it's not catching up, that's a problem. So you do have to watch your cash flow that way and you do have to manage it, but it works well for us to offer payments and terms.
It's just, it's our margins aren't great, we don't have like technology, there's no parts, it's very, very skinny margins, right?
Right. I mean, listen, your operating system, you make nothing. You know what I mean? Like like there are certain things where you're making a 12 to 30% margin max.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I get that.
Then we have to go fight for it. If she, this is a brand new customer, so I don't know like what would it cost to like find her and collect. And plus, I think she operates up north in Sacramento and San Francisco, so it's like it'd be hard to track her down, So
absolutely,
that's why it was kind of a red flag. It was kind of risky operation.
Yeah, there are some people that just aren't going to qualify, and it is what it is, right? I would still follow up with her in about a week and say, hey, I understand that you are, really wanting to finance. You could potentially offer her a way to make payments and then start the work. If that's something that
that's why I offered to do 70 up front and 30 by the end of the year, which gives her about 3 months. So I mean,
she didn't take that.
No, she wanted to do. She was very stubborn. She's Persian, so.
Oh yeah, no.
I don't know what that means. I've never heard anybody say that. Like I'm Persian, and it's like, is that a? I don't know.
I guess it's a behavioral trait. I don't know.
I know there's Jewish Persians that you be careful with, but other than that, I mean.
No, I think what some people just aren't buyers, and that's fine. Some people are just always wanting deals, and those aren't your people.
And these systems were for XP. When she was using XP, I should have saw the flags right away.
Yeah, the
manager's on bad terms, and and they left her in the dark, left her, and so it's just a bad it was just a bad scene. So I'm kind of glad that, but just trying to practice. In practice, I guess maybe I will find somebody who could do like a 10 grand loan or something like that. It'll probably be high interest, but I mean at least they'll take the risk off us because we have to watch our cash flow. Just because we want to do cool things like marketing.
Yeah, that would be helpful, right? So with that being said, there are some options for ongoing financing, but they do have to be approved. right?
Right.
So there are smaller loans, there are smaller options, and it is something that you guys should have available to you,
Okay.
just so that you can. That doesn't mean you have to. Like this woman sounds to me like, it's like, honestly, if she said that to me, I probably in a very nice way would say, go kick rocks, like I would be done.
Too much what I say.
But yeah, and move on. Thank you so much for wasting my time. See you later. Goodbye.
Yeah.
But at that time, you could also revisit. You left the door open to where you could revisit this in 3 weeks and say, hey, by now you could have already paid, 3 payments or a payment and been putting this on so that we could go forward on this. Have you made a decision? And that might be towards the end of the year where she says, all right, let's go ahead and do it. So you can do that, but that also is going to, I am big on taking the right clients and not just taking the clients you need to, right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. And there's the right clients too, we don't,
yeah,
a lot of them are just noisy too. So a lot of times it's like, yeah, do we really want that noise? It's kind of unnecessary.
yeah. And to me, I think you end up going down that path of, is it a rabbit? And are you going to stay in the rabbit game?
Hey, Alex, could I just throw something in there?
Absolutely.
I'm listening. Stephen, one of the things that I have done to a lot of clients when they say that they don't have money is I say, let's do it in baby steps. Why don't we do project A? Let's break it down. And that way they can do it and they don't have to finance it because they do baby step A. Baby step A is completed if they're happy and it's a wonderful joint venture between you and them. Then baby step B occurs and then baby step C. If that's possible with the type of thing you do, I don't know. But that's one way to get around the money hurdle that I've done several times, which is, okay, let's take this deal and go, let's make it a small rabbit and then another rabbit and then another rabbit. And then, over time, just an idea, just throwing it out there because that's one way.
I like that. Yeah, that's good. We usually do that for when there's, a bigger chunk, like 15,000 is like, I feel like that's really low as it is. If it was like maybe a 30,000 or 40,000, 60, whatever. Yeah, we can break it down like phase 1, phase 2, kind of string it out for a couple quarters, but yeah, that's a great,
it's worked many times as far as getting people on board, especially people that get sticker shock it when you present a certain product to them. And even if you start with a small $1,000 foot in the door thing, let's just get you going, because then if you do a good job and they like you, that they'll keep working with you and you can continue those, the dollars rolling, and you can also establish if this is a good client or if it's not. And if it's not, and if you have a problem with $1,000 payment type thing, then you say, you know what, this isn't working. Just throwing it out there.
Brian, you're hired.
Yeah.
So also for you, Stephen, I just messaged Julie Marvelli over on LinkedIn to connect with you. She has she represents an arm that does some of that financing if and when you're ever ready for that.
Sure, it'd be great.
So that part's done. Okay, so what else do you have coming in for pipeline for going into Q4? Other than angry Persians and 100 people that you ignored.
Let's see here. We have Zotec, which is that was about a almost $40,000 project.
Okay, that's not a rabbit.
That's not a rabbit.
That's not a rabbit. Where'd this one come?
Yeah,
where
did
the lead come
project
from?
Base. Okay, so that was 2,000. Yeah, so $2,000 a month, and then like a $38,000. Yes, so that was so that was that one. That was more of a larger one, but rabbits. No, we didn't.
We don't want the rabbits. I'm liking the big ones.
Rabbits, rabbits come in so fast. They usually onboard the same day.
So great. So this $40,000. Well, hold on. So this $40,000 one. Let's slow down and go into what that project is. Where are we on the pipeline of who's the decision maker on it? Do you have the decision maker?
Yes. So it's Michael, and he's basically the IT manager over at that location. And so he's working with, so his corporate office is in Taiwan, but he is like the liaison for that office. And so he's like communicating with me, and we're trying to he's trying to figure out what the best approach is. They're really close to us. They like us. We're still waiting for a reply based on, they're slow to reply. Like even setting up the meeting took like a month. So they're really slow. So I'm hoping they will, next month they'll be ready to go. So there's that one. Let's see.
And then, okay, so the guy, and how did they find you?
It was, let's see, Google, actually.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So they found you through Google,
Mhm.
and they were looking to get help with their
network. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So where are they on the pipeline status, right? So if you look at the drop downs, where
they're
are
on proposed and decision making or
right,
proposal.
so the proposal is with the decision maker already.
Yes.
Okay. When are you going to hear back from them, and what is your follow-up?
So they're, I gave them all the information. So we're supposed to be on their calendar. They're supposed to invite us. We have a Calendly thing they're supposed to like book a calendar event with us. I want to say they were supposed to do it last week, but I haven't seen anything yet. So should I send them an email to follow up?
Oh yeah. So I would, okay. So I never, ever want a prospect that I am already speaking to. Now, somebody that I haven't talked to yet and I haven't pitched them yet, they can use my Calendly link all day long, right? Book it when you're available and when I'm available, and it's fine, right? But if I'm to the point where I already have a proposal with the decision maker, now have you reviewed it with the decision maker or no?
No, that's what we're waiting for.
Got it. Okay. So I'm going to echo what I said last week, where if I'm sending a proposal, I am setting that meeting that day or the next day to review the proposal with them so that they are never confused.
Yeah, the issue with that one was they said they're getting some more offers because they had a couple bids on it. And so they were kind of like collecting bids, and then they'll let us know. They're supposed to let us know last week to kind of go over that. So
okay, so they just wanted a price. They're price shopping. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah. So I think they're
okay.
Yeah.
So then I would move it down from proposal with decision maker to the one before that, because right now they're just looking for a quote. So, and there's ways to handle that too. In fact, Dean's actually on, and this is what he's really good at. So and he knows that I was about to call on him on this one too. Dean, if somebody is price shopping, what do we do as opposed to doing a whole big proposal? Oh, you're on mute. He was doing his best work there.
I was going to say, what's a conference call without someone talking while they're on mute, right? There's usually some telltale signs that you're quoting cannon fodder, like if they're just pressing to get to a price without really sharing, the details or the pain that they're in, or you can tell there's not sort of a genuine interest in sort of how you would engage, or they're not raising any concerns about how you would sort of go the journey with them over sort of multiple years. If they're literally just pressing for a price, then okay, you need to consider that, yeah, it's a high chance you're just pricing what I call cannon fodder. So you're just the second or the third quote, so someone can tick a box and move through the process. The thing to do is just not give them the price. Right? If they're just pressing for a price, just don't give it to them until you've pulled out all the information you need to actually give a competitive quote. Otherwise, you are literally just ticking a box for them and they're wasting your time.
So what do I give them if they're asking for, if we're asking for a quote?
You give them another appointment. You give them another appointment. You go, hey, I'm going to be between this and this. I'm going to be between $100 and $300 until I understand, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, or what have you. I can't give you an accurate price. Does that make sense? Yep.
So,
okay.
So
then let's.
I went over there and met the entire team and the walkthrough. So if they're still okay now, they're still waiting for a price at that point. What would we do? Like it's kind of like, oh, you've seen everything.
Did you ask them who they're getting the prices from?
No. I think the
and
only
did you
thing
ask them why?
is like we're competing against like one other person and their current provider.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. And did they share the details of what those other quotes are providing, like in terms of the technology or the type of service or the SLAs, any of those sort of characteristics.
They talked about their current provider. Yeah, and so they talked about their current provider, and they basically mentioned, they wanted something similar, but they also wanted the XYZ. So I kind of broke it down to a couple of quotes for those extra, extra features. But yeah, so I got.
Did they make it clear what the motivation for changing is?
Price.
Got it. You need to be significantly cheaper to motivate them to go through this pain. So then straight away, you're sort of like, okay, if I think the other person isn't ripping them off, if they're doing it at a reasonable price and just making a reasonable margin, is this something that I want to go down that path, which is ultimately saving someone else money and you taking on sort of work that's not necessarily valuable to you. So it's as much about making an assessment of the incumbent, and if you can get.
Also, I feel like it's trust too. It's like, once we kind of gain their trust, then it's like, okay, then we see the value for some reason. It's like almost that trust barrier. And it's like, and where it's like, if we're high, I feel like, oh, you're ripping me off. That trust barrier is,
Yeah, absolutely. And look, the more trust you have, sort of the sooner, the better the chance you're going to have a longer term relationship, and i.e. it'll become more valuable to you in terms of sort of total revenue from that client.
So do we set them up like on an entry level one first to say, hey, this is what we offer as a minimal, and kind of give them 3 options kind of thing, and then.
That's what I'm thinking, like a good, better, best.
Yeah, good, better, best. Like, we sell a cheap one. I don't recommend it, but we do. And then kind of get more that way, and then upsell it. I've done that before in the past, and that's worked pretty well, because then you gain trust, and then you kind of build that relationship, But
and that way you can also say, I'm sorry, but you can also say, these guys are doing fine. This is what they're offering you. I can do that too, but here's why I would do this. And then it's not even the trust. It's showing them that you're the master of the game and your business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also allowing them to choose their adventure, right? Mm-hmm. They might go, hey, okay, well, at this stage we are just price sensitive and we're at this budget. Okay. Just so most of our clients actually take this option, i.e. the more expensive one, and here are the reasons why. Like, you're more secure, you've got better uptime or business continuity, these other benefits, but we get it. It's not for everybody. So, when you're ready for it and it makes sense, we can take that next step. But the first thing is, at least go for the good option.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. So on that one, I would take it down a notch, and I would absolutely follow up and say, hey guys, I'd love to review the proposal that we have, and also get a better idea of where you are. How is your Tuesday at 3:00? Just go ahead and offer the time. It's a lot easier. Like, I'm notorious. If somebody says we need to meet, I'll be like, yeah, we do. And then nothing happens, right? Like, and Dean's shaking his head because he knows me too. He'll be like, hey, we should do this. I'm like, we should. And so if you just say, are you available at this time? Chances are they'll say, oh, you know what? No, but I can do it 2 hours earlier. Great. No big deal. Right. So, all right, let's move on from that one. I'd like to touch everyone at least once today, because we only have 3 active participants on this one, so everybody gets a turn. Lewis.
Hey there.
Hey there. How did your pipeline work go this week?
I'm laying the groundwork for it.
Okay. Have you been filling out the paper?
No.
Because I am going to start being a stickler and making sure that you guys are actually filling out the form, because it has to be templatized, because at some point in like 2 weeks, we're going to learn how to take that and funnel it into a report so that you have a dashboard, so that you can start tracking and forecasting and making those assessments and business decisions. So you have to start using the forms.
I just haven't really had anybody. I just haven't really had anybody to put in it.
That's okay. That's fair. But if you don't have anybody to put in it, but I thought we had the woman who was the girlfriend of the guy that you met. I love that I don't know the names, and I'm just I'm being descriptive at this point.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So her name is Lexi.
Hey, Lexi, we had Lexi.
Yeah, Lexi. So no, that one's fuzzy.
Okay.
And I got another one potentially that I emailed you about a little bit earlier today that is a commercial insurance agent. But he's only got 3 people, right? It is too small. So I think I'm just gonna refer that to my buddy Brady.
Okay.
So, but I wanted to get your feedback on it, but I don't need to take up the group time for that.
Well, I think that's a great thing to talk about on group.
Okay.
It's, because remember, you set your base of your prime customer to between 10 and 100 for users.
Yeah, so this is way off base. He set off my alarm bells when he mentioned that in addition to his work for farmers, he's got his own domain and he's using G Suite. And he doesn't like his IT guy. And I asked him, I said, well, are you backing up your G Suite data? And he gave me the deer in the headlights look. I mean, I knew. Right. And I said, you really need to do that. And I told him, you're at the small end, you're too small for us. But I could probably refer you to somebody. And so I did reach out to Brady and Brady is interested, but there's that part of me that's thinking, okay, this is the guy in the BNI chapter. Like, should I just do it anyway?
No. And here's why. Remember, we were talking about doing, and listen, I'm all about doing favors, being a good human. Absolutely. Yeah. Do you honestly think that when you get 5 good-sized customers, you're going to be able to devote the time to a 3-person organization that you don't want in the first place?
Of course not.
Okay. So if I could echo what we were talking about a little bit a couple of days ago about your affiliate relationship and making sure that you have a good, solid affiliate agreement with Brady, you don't have to not get income or revenue from this agreement. You can put him where he best fits and still make something off of him. Maybe you're not going to make the same margin that you were going to make if you were doing all the work, but now you freed up your time to focus on your core. Brady got some business and your BNI guy has been serviced properly. And now he can say that you're a guy that is ethical, you're smart, you got him where he needed to go. And just because that doesn't mean that, like, perfect example. We had a client that said, hey, I need a channel chief and I need somebody to go to all my shows and I need somebody to really create our sales organization, right? And put all the systems in place. Now I'll do that for an MSP. I'll create their systems because an MSP is pretty on target. Like, they're pretty much all pretty cookie cutter of the way that it works. So I'm not reinventing the wheel. With a lot of IT vendors, our specialty is we bring them to scale. So it means that they've already had some sort of a sales organization in place. They have 1 or 2 sales reps. They have a process. Now they need to level up. That's when we'll insert ourselves with IT vendors. So for us, that wasn't our wheelhouse. But what we did was we sent them over to Ted Roller, who that's what he does. He likes being the channel chief and he likes building or being the sales team for an IT vendor. And what that did was it ended up growing us in the channel and allowing us to have that good reputation because we did what was best for the client. And now all these people know that we don't just, we stay in our lanes and we take what we should be taking and we work out where other people should go and we make the best recommendations based on the business's needs.
Okay, so it sounds like, I mean, before I hand him off to Brady, I need an affiliate agreement with Brady.
Absolutely. Yep. And now with this one, because he wants a meeting like tomorrow, I would just, I'm not saying like spit in your hand and handshake, but put something in writing. It doesn't have to be something crazy, but I think it is definitely time that you get an affiliate relationship started. And you have your lawyers that are willing to write that up for you. So I would say just get that done quick.
Okay.
Get a good solid margin.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. So there we go. You have pipeline and you didn't even think you did.
I know. And now
There you go.
I gotta jump to my comedy class.
Oh man. All right. Well, hey, it is time for us to, guys. Thank you for playing all in again. I will see you next week. Bye.
Hey, Alex,
Yes,
are you still
sir.
there?
I am.
Before you leave, one quick question.
No.
I haven't been able to access the documents and some, I don't know if it's because Kevin's security protocols are so heavy.
Okay. So have you been able to log into the platform at all?
No, which I was thinking it might be his protocols, but I think I talked to one of his tech guys today and I think I've overcome that. But so do you have 5 minutes just to see if I can get on that?
Absolutely. What we
Okay.
can do here, tell you what, I am going to jump to my platform here.
And I'll start the next one, Alex. I'll just see when you hop in. All right.
Yeah, my
Absolutely.
apologies. Don't mean to hold you up.
No,
No,
you're
no,
fine.
all good, Ryan. All good.
No,
Have a good
this
evening,
is
mate.
important.
Cheers.
Okay, take care.
So I'm just going to download this and I'll email it to you directly. And that way, because I want you to be able to fill out your form and it's important.
If you email it to me directly instead of in this meeting, maybe it'll,
Exactly. That's
that
kind
might
of,
have been even the problem, is that it was coming through this conference thing and it wasn't.
yeah, but it should have been emailed to you anyways.
I don't, you mean through Rachel?
Uh-oh. No, I did. I sent it to you with the platform login information.
Well, maybe at that time, there were a lot of protocols he had set up. I know I talked to his guy though about loosening those a little so I could get some stuff.
Okay, let me, hold on, that's clients, my
He's
drive.
got a lot of protocols and procedures.
There are a lot. Yes, absolutely. So there is the TechSellerate pipeline tracker.
I'm looking for it as soon as it pops into my email.
I haven't sent it yet. I just had to find the right
Oh.
form. My bad. I'm not there yet. Okay, don't rush me. Give me a second. All right, we have TechSellerate. There I am. All right, so I am not going to have you log in. I'm just going to get this downloaded. 2 seconds. It's just taking a minute to open because I wasn't there. So.
And Kevin just called me while we were on this call and he's like, are we still good for tomorrow to have our discussion? I was like, yes. So if there's anything that you think I should talk to him about, I took a bunch of notes, but if there's any key things.
Okay, so this one is not the one that Nick created. This is the one that I created.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to send this over to you, but if it is not, let's see. Let me go ahead. I've got, all right, Brian. All right, so this is the pipeline tracker. I'm sending this to you right now.
Okay.
And I'm also going to CC Nick. So that he can send the Excel one because it's not in the folder that it should be. Nick, can you please respond all to this with the Excel pipeline tracker?
If you could email me that link again to your portal thing, I think now it might work.
Okay.
It wasn't before, but I think now I've got it so that I can get into everything.
You got it. All I had was the Google form, sheets, whatever it is, book, workbook. I can't talk. I'm not Englishing today. Thanks. Okay. Let me see if you have it.
Okay. Did you just send it?
I'm sorry?
Did you just send it?
I did.
Okay. Hasn't come in yet. Usually comes in pretty quick.
I'll hang out.
Yeah, that's what let's just make sure I get something here.
Yeah, I want to make sure you're in because this is 3 weeks later.
Okay, so there it did. The little music just came in.
Good.
And there is, so it's an Excel sheet, right? That says pipeline tracker.
Yep. And okay. And the previous recording has how to fill it out, but if you need an additional training on it, we'll go over it again next week. We can do that. We could do that on one of our office hours too.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just put this on my desktop right now so
Perfect.
that I have it.
Yep. And then, so what I do is I have one for every single month. So you have one workbook and you could do a sheet for if you have multiple people on your team, have one sheet per person and one workbook for the month. If you only have the one person, just have the one workbook for the year and each sheet is a month and just duplicate.
Okay. And yeah, when we have time next week, maybe we could talk to about maybe creating some kind of sheet for the SDR. I don't know what she's using or how she's doing it, but I mean, I don't know what he's paying her for, but I know I haven't gotten a single anything, you know?
Yeah, we gotta work on that.
Yeah, we
So,
gotta
if you all, you know what, that would be a really good one to go over on office hours as well.
okay.
Metrics to measure SDRs on.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, I got the sheet, so thank you very much. Sorry for holding you up.
You're fine. Nick's gonna send you the other one too.
Okay, and I won't be on Monday because I'm getting this silly little eye thing done on my eye. So I'll be available on Tuesday, but I won't be there on Monday.
Okay, so I'll definitely see you. You'll see me on Tuesday. All right.
On Tuesday. Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right.